Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Outdoor Aligned Podcast. Today, I've got on with me one of my best friends, Max Grogan. He's a longtime friend. We went to college together years ago, and we've been hunting buddies ever since. We keep in close touch. He lives a couple states away, but um, we've got similar interests, similar hobbies, and we're always sharing our stories with each other if they're not together. So, welcome to the show, Max.
Thanks, man. Appreciate having me on. You've been talking about this for years. I'm glad you're kind of finally starting to do it. So
Yeah,
excited for you.
that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do it because, like, you and I've done a bunch of awesome hunts, awesome experiences together, and all that kind of goes undocumented. We've got some pictures and a few short videos from everything, but we've had some cool stuff happen in the past, and it's time to start taking advantage of that and documenting it, and so we can look back on it in the future.
For sure. Yeah. No, yeah. I love it. Um,
Tom,
yeah, how's it going, man? Haven't talked
yeah,
to
it's
you in a minute.
going good. It's been a busy fall so far. What about yourself?
Good. We have kicked off the season with antelope, archery antelope out on the plains, the eastern plains of Colorado. And then elk season just opened 2 weeks ago. So I'm living the life of, split between work and taking these backpacking trips up the mountains and trying to not lose a ton of weight, eating enough food just to keep rolling. So it's been
Right.
good. Antelope was tough this year. No success. My wife Kayla had a tag, and then my buddy Dom also had a tag. And it's pretty fortunate as residents we can just get those over the counter. So we did a lot of scouting this summer. Eastern Plains this year was insane as far as moisture. They're calling it like the 30-year, rainfall total. They're having just crazy amounts of rain, 3-4 times as much as previous years,
Really?
and it's usually, as you know, super arid out there.
Right. It's like the
So
desert.
it's gray, brown, just dry. By August things are just burnt to a crisp, and crops are already cured out, and people are cutting and stuff. And this year's been a different world. It's monsoon. Like there's been a
Really?
crazy amount of rain out there. Yeah, and I hate to say it, but antelope, especially if you're sitting water, you kind of hope for drought because
Right.
if they're
So
standing water everywhere,
that's been your
yeah,
strategy in the past, right? It was like pop up tent, sit in water holes.
exactly. Yep, it can be pretty brutal. It's August in Colorado, high plains, but it still gets up to
Right.
90, 100 degrees some days, and you kind of hope for those hot days because that's when the antelope are more apt to come in and get a drink. But yeah, we scouted our ass off this year. It was you know from June all the way to opening week in August. It was hanging cell cams, trying to find where they're all concentrated this year. And we'll get into this with mule deer out there, but everything changes every year. Like crops rotate, certain areas hold, CRP is taller in some areas or grows a certain plant that they're really hammering that year. This year it was just the water. I mean, just weren't seeing as many antelope. They weren't as concentrated. I think they could just live wherever this year with the amount of green on the ground. And so we were struggling to find them in the first place. And then we hung 6 cameras, I think, 6 different water holes. And yeah, we're pretty fortunate to have a lot of family friends and properties we've got permission on in the
Right.
past. And so large area, we're putting cameras out and just could not really pattern anything this year. And had a nice buck on one of my cameras where I killed last year. I can show you that buck right here. Um, Last year was my first year doing archery antelope, and
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice buck.
went out. Yeah, super awesome. Awesome experience. I think I hunted 6 days last year, and was also trying to get my wife one, but she. So we had this buck on this blind. No cameras last year. We were just kind of bouncing around different water holes, trying to learn it and stuff, and we ended up finding this really hot water hole. I kept seeing him up on this hill hitting this water, and ended up moving up there. And it's interesting because you put a blind out and you kind of expect them to be nervous if they've never seen it before. And this buck was, we had some does come in on us the first day we set it up. They never had any exposure to a blind, and they just came right in. And yeah, this buck was a little nervous, and that first day wouldn't fully commit to coming in. He kind of circled our blind in water at like 60 yards, and my wife's the shooter and just too far. But the next day she decided to go home and hang out with her friend, and I was like, all right, I'm going to sit in this blind then. It's Sunday, it's the last day of season, and sat there, and he came right in and heart shot, and awesome experience. But
Right.
yeah, so this year, that same spot, yeah.
Not the same this year, though. That's what you're getting ready to say.
Yep. So, well, no, yeah. So the same spot this year is where we had some antelope on camera. It was one of the better spots this year, relative. It wasn't great, but yeah, we had a nice buck coming in, and a couple days before season, not consistent, once or twice a week, coming into this water, and better than nothing. But yeah, my wife was a shooter again, so we went out and set up a blind a week ahead of time, got them used to it. They were coming in the water, and set up their opening day. Spent all day, it was 90 degrees. We've got all our little tricks in the blind, ice, water, cooling towels, little fans and stuff, just trying to survive,
Right.
Long 13-hour days this time of year. And man, I screwed up. So that all day, we're seeing antelope. They're moving around, but they're not drinking. Part of that, I think, is they're eating enough moisture in their feed that they just don't need water as much. They're kind of like a camel in a way. But yeah, we're watching these antelope all day, and nothing comes in. And last light, man, we're watching this buck on the horizon, and he's kind of angling towards us. I'm like, man, I think he's gonna come in. He's kind of headed our way, and there's like 30 minutes till dark, and he kind of moved off, fed off, and kind of worked north and towards our truck. And so I didn't want to just walk out, in the daylight and spook him. So we sat there, and I just, lost concentration, was on my phone. Kayla was reading a book, we weren't paying attention, and this whole herd came up on us right behind us. And it was like 12 does and this nice buck that's been on my camera. And I actually heard him, is what caught my attention. I heard him and looked right real quick, my chair squeaked, and they were all at like 15 yards to our right.
Oh, man.
And it's perfectly calm out. They heard the chair. They're all staring at us. And, yep, they blew it. They ran off. And that was our only opportunity this year. I hunted 6 days again and never had a shot. So
yeah, that's frustrating. So when I've been out there in that area, it's during the rut for antelope, and seems like we see them everywhere. Is it the same this time of year? Like, obviously you're not moving around as much like we have in the past, but I mean, are they still everywhere? Are they still super visible? Or are they more laid up and not traveling as much?
no, and I don't know if it was the conditions this year, but even last year, scouting in the summer, I know what you mean. During the rut, you can drive around and these things stand out like sore thumb. They're everywhere, and see them from a mile away, and pretty much every field seems to have a group in it. And it's just not like that in the summer. I mean, you can drive around for 4 hours and only see a couple,
Really?
And I think when it's hot out in the summer and they're not running around pushing does and stuff, I think they bed down. They dig in the dirt, kind of get some of that moisture up, and just lay down. And they're so small, they'll just disappear on you. So no, it's a lot different during the summer in August. Yeah, not as many seems.
What how far did you shoot that antelope at last year, and like what's your maximum range you're willing to shoot, sit in a water hole?
So that was 25 yards is where. So it's a cattle tank, so it's spring fed. And for those listening, if you ever go out and do this on, if you have permission or public or whatever, avoid cattle because they will tear your shit up. You will not have a camera. You will not have a blind. I've lost the camera, 2 cameras now from cattle we didn't know were in there. But luckily, we have these tanks that are pretty small. I mean, if they're going to come in and drink, it's going to be exactly where you want to shoot them. And so 25 yards is, it's a good range where they're not going to duck too bad, and still gives you a little buffer for sound and stuff.
Right. I know a lot of people, like I've seen videos hunting. People go on an archery antelope hunt somewhere out west, Nebraska or Colorado or Wyoming or something, and they're doing a lot of like spot and stalk, kind of in the hills and the plains type country. Like, have you tried any of that, or do you just know that's so nearly impossible that your best bet's just to sit on water?
So it's definitely a bucket list item for me to, archery spot and stalk, get an antelope that way. Where we hunt, it is, as you know, flatter than anything. There's hardly any terrain, and I know what you mean. So, you get some of those rolling hills in Nebraska and Wyoming and stuff that can be perfect. I mean, you can pop over these little, these little rises and these little eddies and stuff, and get shots. They're usually long shots, right? Like my brother's done it up in Montana, but it just sounds fun. It's active, but where we hunt out east, it's I went on 3 stalks this year, because we weren't having much luck with water, and I think the closest I got was like 120 yards. Just super calm out. They can hear really good. Their sense of smells, interestingly, not good, which I never knew. I've had antelope walk straight downwind of me, sitting in the blind, and they'll smell you. They'll kind of stutter. You can see when they cross your path, but they'll just come right through it. They trust their eyes more than anything. So if they don't see anything and they smell you, they're fine. If you're stalking one and the wind swirls and they look and see silhouette, they're gonna spook. But not as bad as like an elk or a mule deer.
Really? So when you mentioned that buck circled your blind a couple times, like the blind and the water hole, I wondered, like, was wind an issue? But that makes sense if they're not that bothered by it. It's like it registers with them, but doesn't spook them.
Exactly. Like they smell you, but it just, their eyes aren't seeing anything, so they're good in a way.
And they have really good eyesight too.
Oh man, it's unreal. You'll be miles away and they'll see your truck on the horizon, and just take off. Or yeah, their eyes are insane. Guys have explained it to me before. My buddy at work is really into antelope hunting. He's killed a lot, muzzleloader and archery and stuff. And he's like, they are literally like if you duct tape a pair of 12 power binos to your face, like that's what they're seeing. And he's got some crazy tactics. Like, when the sun's setting, he'll put the sun right behind him and walk straight towards him. And they know something's going on, but it confuses them. So they're looking straight into the sun, and you're kind of blocked by that. And man, he's got all sorts of ways he's done it.
I've never heard of or imagined that. Never thought about that.
You know what I mean, though, when you're like driving and then the sun's that perfect angle and it's just blinding. That's right. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Killed one that way. Yeah, just walking up to it, archery. Yeah,
that's thinking outside the box right there.
He is a creative hunter. He kind of made this burlap sack, not a blind, but not a decoy, not a blind, somewhere in between, I guess, but kind of just this like wall of burlap that he made with some poles, stuck some poles on it, and he's killed them before walking straight at them with this wall of, kind of natural looking material. And they don't know what to do. It doesn't look like a predator, It's
right. They've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. And, he's told me before too, he'll zigzag, and that messes with their depth perception. And you can get close that way too. So this guy, he's done it all.
That's so crazy. So antelope, especially like in the plains, don't have much for predators. Like coyotes, obviously, but an antelope can outrun a coyote like crazy.
Yep.
There's, some areas, mountain lions are predator antelopes, but not not where you're hunting, right?
Not out here. I don't know. Besides when they're fawns, the potential for a coyote to get one. Other than that, yeah, nothing's getting them. I
Right.
think it's
So maybe that's part of
disease.
why they're a little more relaxed when they see something they don't know what it is. Like,
Sure. Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
cool. I
not as
I want to see that happen.
I know. I haven't had
We
success yet,
right. We've
but
gotten close
fingers
to them
crossed.
when we're out there hunting mule deer. We'll see some bedded, and we'll just almost to kill time go mess with them. I remember we walked up to like 70 yards from one, and you're like, "This never happens."
I remember that it was our first year out there mule deer hunting. Didn't have any archery antelope tags, and yeah, you walked right up to that thing. He was
Yeah,
bedded right
I was like,
on
"There's
that
nothing to
slope.
this."
Yeah, you walked right up. You're looking back at me like drawing fake bow, like this is so easy. I'm like, yeah, that never happens if you had a tag in your pocket.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't get that lucky.
yeah, man, yeah. So antelope was a bust this year, but
Right,
yeah, still learned a lot, and there's a silver lining to all the moisture. I think the deer hunting's going to be really good.
right. So what about elk hunting? Right now, as we're talking, it's here middle of September. From my understanding, you've been doing some elk hunting already. I mean, I know you're a diehard elk hunter. I know you use all your PTO in September to go elk hunting. So, like,
Yeah,
what's your season look like so far? When did it start for you?
yeah, man. Elk's my favorite. Like you said, it's it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's when you are successful, it is just another level of just feeling of accomplishment, and I look forward to it every year. It's something great weather, or September in the mountains, um, just elk bugling, the whole experience. You're hearing them, you're smelling them, you're my method of hunting them is backpacking, so you're drinking out of springs and living off your back, and that whole the experience of elk hunting is more than the success. It's really just about spending time out there. It tests you, but it's the best thing. So,
Yeah, I've been
but
I've
yeah,
been like
we
I've been threatening to just go with you. Like, I just want to come out there for
yeah
5 days and just like let me just tag along. Even just to see it. Ideally, you'd kill something I could help you, but either way, it'd just be cool to experience that.
right, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere, and that's a good way to learn though is to go with someone that's done it. But we'll have to plan something in the future.
For sure.
But yeah, we September 2nd is opening day here. Didn't draw anything this year. Didn't really apply for anything. Luckily, as a resident, I get over-the-counter elk as well. Non-residents have to draw now, but still a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of 1 point units, and but yeah. So I didn't apply for anything this year. Just got over-the-counter tag and had plans with my good buddy Dom, who's we're both a part of Colorado Bow Hunters Association, and become really good friends. We both work at the same company and kind of have that same backpacking, you know, experience and elk hunting method of going out. So yeah, we plan to go out September 2nd, and we had Plan A spot, Plan B spot, just all the backup plans in case we weren't in elk, because that's another thing in the West. Every single year, it doesn't matter, with few exceptions, the areas are going to change. Like one year it can be the best elk hunting ever, this little honey hole. Next year it'll be empty. It'll just be completely different. It's based on feed and drought and just what the elk are doing that year. So, we had our Plan A spot. We went in September 2nd, and there were a lot of guys. There were a lot of hunters out. The trailheads were packed. It's a roadless area. It's you know plans to go in 5 miles deep, and kind of um, you know we're looking for good terrain. So whether that's a mix of feed, water, good slope aspects, you're looking for those spots, but you're also looking for spots where people can't easily access. So that 5 mile is kind of the breaking limit for a lot of day hunters and stuff. That was our plan to go in there. So yeah, we packed in there. We actually we glassed from the top of this mountain that night. leading up to opener, and spotted a bull and a bear and some deer up on this mountain, and kind of close to where we were planning on going, and glassed till sunset, and then drove to this kind of secondary trailhead and hiked in the dark. So we hiked in 3 miles, just headlamps, and kind of made it to the saddle, and woke up the next morning, and pretty good elk sign. Wasn't super fresh or anything, but you could tell you're going to turn them up if you spend enough time there. And so we're, how we hunt is moving along these ridges and calling. So for those not familiar, you've got cow calls and bugles, and we'll do a little mix of both. The early season, it's you don't want to be as aggressive. The rut's not in full swing yet. And when I say early season, that's September 1st through the first week or so. Bulls are kind of elusive at that time. They're all alone. The cows are still in their kind of summer groups with their calves and stuff. But the bulls get weird. When they shed their velvet, like I've had trail cams up the mountains before on, elk water holes and stuff. And you'll just get bulls all summer long, like hitting this water, daylight, midday, just every day, constantly. And as soon as they shed their velvet, it's just like they scatter. And I think that's similar with, right? Whitetail.
It's the same with whitetails. I'm experiencing it right now. Like I've had a couple nice bucks I've been watching and been really enjoying getting some videos of those and just seeing, some of them been there 3 days in a row and now they've just disappeared. Like some of them I haven't picked back up since they've lost their velvet. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I don't know if they leave the area. I think they just get into this little tight pattern. And, they're starting to get more testosterone. They're getting ready for the rut. They're building their neck muscles and rubbing their velvet off. And I think they're just kind of, irritable. They kind of just want to mind their own and have their little spot where they just hang out until the cows are in heat, right? And then they just go crazy. So that's opening week. You're dealing with that. The first day we didn't turn up any elk. Ran into some hunters. But camped up on this knob. We were near a kind of old burn, so we camped up on this knob where you can hear pretty far. It's pretty open, and heard some bugling that night. So in the morning we had a starting point. So we next morning chased these bugles. Never did lay eyes on the bulls. They were only bugling for maybe an hour, and then shutting up, going to dark timber, just disappearing. Ran into some hunters that day, and it's kind of starting to hit now. We packed all the way in there, 5 miles, and you're running into all these guys. Like it blows my mind because most of them are from like East Coast, where they're not acclimated to the altitude.
Right.
And they're just kicking ass. They're like going further than us, and we're like, holy shit, man, we live here,
Well,
and
I've been in the mountains with you, and 5 miles is not very much for you to do. Like you could do that pretty quickly.
Dude, I don't know how these kids do it, but they're everywhere these days. So we're running into guys and kind of getting discouraged, but I had a little family emergency. Everything was okay, but I had to run home day 3. Kind of cut the trip short there. But on my way out, it was kind of crazy. I was walking this old logging road is closed. You can't access it. So I'm walking this road, and I come around this corner, and there's all these meadows kind of along this road. And I kept thinking, like, I'm going to see some elk, Like, I'm going to pop up. It's evening. I'm trying to get out of there, And sure enough, I come around this corner, and they're actually past some tents. Some guys were camped a couple hundred yards away. They left their tents standing. They were somewhere else, but it's like, oh, there's some guys camped right there. So they're in there hunting, and come around this corner, and sure enough, there's a group of cows feeding. And I'm like, oh, crap. There might be a bull with them, maybe a raghorn or something.
Right.
So I'm not picky, it's over the counter. So I'm, stalking in to practice and just in case something comes out, and ended up getting 60 yards from the group, and wind swirled. They kind of caught me, but it was a good little experience.
Yeah.
Kind of, that first stalk of the year, really. On elk,
for sure.
So.
Good icebreaker.
Yeah. No, yeah, good icebreaker. Reminds you that wind is everything. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. If you forgot, wind is everything.
yeah, don't forget that. Antelope will try and mix you up on that. But yeah, so I got out of there and then came home for a day and then ran back out, packed in, and actually my buddy Dom was still in there while I was gone, and he just ran into a ton of guys. Like I think he saw 5 different groups one day, and it seemed like everybody had the same plan. 5 miles deep to the good looking country. Roadless, got everything elk want, and there's elk in there. There's lots of elk, but there were just too many guys. I don't think we. The problem in Colorado with elk hunting is not finding elk; it's finding unpressured elk, finding elk that you can hunt that are doing their thing naturally.
Right.
Um, so
And that's something that really takes away from the fun too. Like you're there, you put all this work in. It's like, dang, here's some other guys, which is great to see people out and hunting. Like, I'm
right,
glad to hear that, but at the same time, it's like, dang it, like we picked the wrong spot,
yep.
kind of thing.
Well, and every guy we meet, we try and be nice. Like
Oh, for sure.
there's no, we're all public land. It's
Right.
everyone's land. There's competition, but don't be an asshole. Like
Right. Yeah. Like,
tell each other what you're doing and work around it and help each other.
right. Some people probably don't take that well, but like they're just as much at fault as you are. Like you're both there to do the exact same thing. You both picked on the map, said, "Hey, this looks like a good spot. Let's
Yep.
go there," and you ran into each other. So there's no reason to be mad at somebody that you meet on the trail. I think it's always best to just
Right.
treat them like a friend and talk to them and visit with them. And
And you'll see like more experienced hunters you run into are friendly because they know, it doesn't mean you're not going to kill an elk because you're seeing people. Like
true,
you just kind of have to use that to your advantage. Like how are these people pressuring these elk to where I can act on it? And that'll kind of play into my story here. I have for you in a minute, but yeah. So long story short, we ran into a bunch of guys and we were in elk, but not, they weren't fired up, weren't beagling a lot. We weren't seeing many bulls, so it was good timing. I was coming back up to the mountains, and Dom was kind of done with the spot, and I'm like, hey, let's go to Plan B. Um, so we drove in the dark again, got out of there, got to this spot. It's actually a spot where my brother killed a super nice 5x6 over the counter archery, and my dad killed a bull in there too, and I actually hit one in the shoulder blade. I think it was in college. I came home for a week to hunt,
yeah, I
and
kind of remember that.
yeah, I probably came home pissed because I didn't get that bull, but
Right,
came back to Rollo. But yeah, so we went to that spot actually. Asked my dad, hey, can we go under your little honey hole? He's like, oh yeah, go for it. He hasn't been there in years, so we didn't really know how it was going to end up. But we hiked up there, and man, it seemed promising at first. We got up a little ways on this ridge and heard 2 bugles. Obviously, elk, sounded great, chuckling. They were up high, and like, awesome, man, they're up here. Like that, I was worried, because we're hiking all the way up. We're gaining like 2,000 feet, and if they're not up there, you waste all that time and effort. So we've got 3 days of food on our back. We got our tents. We're hiking up there and heard some bugles. I'm like, sweet, we're gonna be in here, in these elk, and never could turn them up that day. They just shut down. I, you know, weren't seeing sign. Everything was summer sign, month plus old. Shot some grouse, ate some grouse for lunch.
with your bow.
we always, yeah, we always carry a little blunt tip,
Do
and
you?
then
Cool.
yeah, these mountain grouse, man, they'll just stand there for you. They kind of think they're
Yeah.
invincible and just get short little shots. And dude, it's so good. We were joking. Dom's like, man, it smells like Chick-fil-A when you're cooking that. I'm like, oh yeah, we got the Rocky Mountain Chick-fil-A. But yeah,
This sounds like
killed
a
some grouse in
Turnpike
there.
Troubadour song.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, reminds me of that one. Uh, but yeah, we killed some grouse and got out of there because the elk weren't there. But so, moral of the story: don't stay there because your dad or brother killed one years ago, and you think they're going to show up any day. If they're not there, they're not there. Leave.
Right. You
And
gotta
that's what we did. So
trust the sign that's right now, not the past.
exactly, yeah, yep. So we had a day and a half left. It was Saturday at the Friday night at that point, and Monday work. we work full time, and day and a half left. So I'm like, screw it, man. Like, I don't even know if we went to our planned C spot. We just were like, hey, let's go, a little closer to home. We don't want to go like crazy far, get further from Denver, So it's like, let's pick this spot, This seems good. It's obvious. It looks good, but man, I know there's elk in there. Like my dad and I scouted 8 years ago, and just all the different features and stuff, and terrain is just perfect for elk. Like they'll stay in there, all the way up till November when the snow kicks them out. So, and Dom scouted it before. He's like, yeah, I think it's a good spot too. So, like, all right, screw it, let's go in there. And man, we got there that night, slept at the trailhead, and the trailer was packed. There were horse trailers and side by sides and trucks everywhere, and we're just like, man, I hope there's elk in here.
It'd be so discouraging.
It is, but I've learned to look past it, man. I used to get so beat up when I would see stuff like that, and it just doesn't really bother me anymore. As I'm about, to explain, we got up there that morning, and right at daybreak, we're hearing bugles. All right, seems pretty good. Climbing this ridge, and kind of glass to our north, there's big mountains. You can imagine just a really long ridge coming off like 13,000 foot peaks, and it has a bunch of sub ridges off of it with water and feed and all sorts of good stuff. And so we're glassing that hill, and it's pretty open. There's beetle kill and a little bit of burn and stuff. And we're glassing, and sure enough, there's a nice 5x5 bull pushing these cows, and there's some more cows up high, and we're hearing bugles behind us, and there's bugles up the canyon. We're like, okay, they're in here, So basically watched that 5x5 push these cows into some timber, and gave them like an hour to make sure they didn't come out, made sure they were bedded for the day, right? Kind of like their spot-and-stalk, where you want them to lay down and lay down for good before you make any moves. Right. They will move up, pick up and leave if you...
Right. And you may not see them leave, is what you're saying. Exactly. Like you may put in the effort, invest the time for them to not even be there if you're not careful. So
exactly. So we're patient, we're sitting there for an hour, just make sure they're not going to leave, and they didn't. So we did this big loop. It took us 2.5 hours to get around to that side of the mountain. And man, it was perfect. We set up, we dropped our pins, on Onyx, like where we thought he was. And our pin, so I'll get to how close we were, but we set up in this perfect little spot. There was a little knob that kind of dropped into this kind of creek bottom, and then they were up on the ridge next to it. So we were 150 yards from where we thought he was. And, I told Dom he's a shooter, and so he went down below me, and I let out a couple just calf calls. I like to start kind of, moderate. You don't want to be aggressive. Just start, kind of laid back, so some calf calls. Usually that's not going to spook cows, because lost calf, could be one of theirs. They're not going to run from that. So I'll start with calf calls, and right when I did that, he screamed at us. He bugled, and perfect. He was like right there, and I'm like, perfect. Like he's talking, he's fired up, we're in tight, and so we gave it, 5-10 minutes, nothing came in. So I started raking. That's my next kind of, sequence. So I started raking this tree, and you can hear some commotion. So I don't know if he was raking too, kind of matching me, but I ended up bugling, and he fired right back. And so I just started going harder. I'm raking, throw out some chuckles, started to get more aggressive, and just radio silence. Wind was good. They didn't wind us or anything, but yeah, he just died. He died off, didn't stop bugling. Didn't hear the herd take off or anything. We went up to where we thought they were bedded, and no shit, our Onyx pin was 10 yards from this bull's bed. I mean, there was this big old flat spot, all roughed up, peed on, and a rub right next to it, from when he was raking back at me. So that was pretty cool, that we knew exactly where he was, set up perfect. They just weren't in the mood. If I had to guess, the cows didn't like the bugling. Sometimes I think a lot of times when you're challenge bugling, the cows take the herd away. They're they're smart.
Right.
Even if you sound like an elk, they don't like it sometimes, and so they picked up and left. But yeah, man, good setup. So we kept moving on. We went up to the top of that mountain and ended up hearing more and more bugles, and ended up chasing this herd through this kind of open terrain and all the way to dark. I think I got 100 yards from a 5x6 and a bunch of cows, and we ended up laying eyes on a really good 6x6. And I'm like, man, this is a spot. They're in here. They're rutting. They're in here thick. There's sign everywhere. You're smelling elk constantly. And I'm like, yeah, so we need to focus on this area. But yeah, that Sunday, hung a little more. I don't think we kicked anything up, but we kind of had to get out of there and went home. But yeah, that was opening week for me. It was, could have been better. Can't complain. We were in elk the last 2 days, but yeah, that's kind of opening week goes sometimes. It's pretty slow, but
right.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it
So
sounds exciting though. Like, I mean, the most you can ask for is to see some bulls and hear some bugling, right? Like that's what you're there for. That's what I would be there for. Anyway,
exactly.
I've never even heard an elk bugle. I want to hear it so bad. Like
Yeah,
you sent me the
right.
video of them just screaming, and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like someone was by me that was not a hunter, and they're like, what is that noise? I was like, that is an amazing sound right there.
Yeah.
It was so loud.
Man, it's a weird, unique thing.
Yeah.
Like what other animal makes crazy dinosaur noises?
Yeah, like if you didn't know elk were a thing and you didn't know that's what they sound like, and you were in the woods and you heard that, you'd be like, what was that? That's not cool.
Yeah. Imagine like frontiersmen coming
Yeah,
through
the
the plains and
first
hearing
time
elk
hearing
screaming
that.
at night. You're like, what is this? Yeah, it's gotta be nuts. But
So that was
they're
first
awesome,
week.
man. Yeah.
Have you been
First
back?
week was I have been back. I was beat up from that first trip, lost like 5-10 pounds. You know, kind of trying to rest a little bit, but I worked for a week and then like, man, screw it. I've got Saturday, Sunday again. It's opening weekend of muzzleloader, so I usually don't like going out for that. It's you think the woods are busy during archery. It's even worse when it overlaps with muzzleloader. So, but I'm like, can't kill them on the couch. Just gonna get out there. I'm close enough, 2-3 hours. So I went up again Saturday morning. Kind of rolled in late. We actually had a concert Friday night till like midnight, and then I woke up at 4 to get up there.
Oh man,
So
dedication.
not a lot of sleep, but no, it's worth it. The one thing I'll lose sleep for.
Right.
But yeah, we go up there or just me this time. I went up there, kind of rolled in late, same spot, our Plan Z that turned out to be really good, and hike up that north ridge, kind of from the north this time. So I'm coming off the backside and get up to the top, and there's a lot of trucks around again, a lot of muzzleloader camps and side by sides and stuff. But I'm going up to roll this area and get to the very top, man, and I sit down to glass, and these 3 kids walk up on me. I'm like, oh man, like of course, but not always a bad thing, So I greet these guys, and they end up being super cool. They're from Buffalo, New York,
Really?
30-hour drive. Yeah, and they're like,
That's
yeah, man,
cool.
we're here for 3. They're like, we're here for 3 weeks. I'm like, what kind of jobs do you have? Like, how do
No kidding.
I get this gig?
How'd you get that much time off?
Yeah, but they're super good, super cool guys, just kids, and weren't having a ton of luck, so I gave them some pointers and kind of asked what they were doing. They told me they were planning to loop kind of to the north, and I was like, all right, I'm going to loop to the south in this kind of basin area. And right when they split, right when we stopped talking, I heard a muzzleloader shot go off where I was planning on going. I'm like, yeah, I'm not, they just blew up that hillside. I'm not going over there. So, these kids are this way, muzzleloader shots this way. I'm like, I'm running out of options, there's guys everywhere. And so I just kind of start working, I guess it would be west down this big ridge, kind of the main mountain, and heard some bugles. I'm like, okay, those sound real. They're not hunters. And so I work down and get eyes on this bench. So, if you're not familiar, when a mountain's really steep, some spots it benches out and there's some timber, and elk will love that. If there's, a flat spot with shade and water, that's just, ideal for especially bulls. They love that stuff. But get up right above that bench, have a perfect line of sight, bugle at it, and instantly get a response. All right, there's a bull down there. Kind of circle it, and I didn't really have a good position on him, so I let out another location bugle, and it was funny. You could hear him kind of grunt. You could tell he's bedded, kind of made a grunt noise, and then right after, just screaming straight up at. You could tell his face was pointed up at me, and I'm like, okay, he's feeling it,
So question: when you said location bugle, is that a different sounding bugle, or is it just like a locator bugle? Like you're just trying to get him to bugle so you know where he's at?
So both. So it does sound different. What I do is it's more of just a high pitched bugle that just carries versus putting grunt into it, like some grr. And I'm not chuckling or anything. I'm just doing this long, drawn out, super high pitch where it just carries. And it's not going to if there's an elk close and he hears you lip ball and start grunting and stuff, he's probably going to spook. So it's just kind of like a friendly, like, hey, where are you kind of location bugle. And that's the purpose of it, just to find him. So, yeah, so knew where he's at, had a pin on him, got down in there, and it's really hard calling when you're alone. Just like turkey hunting, right? It's easier with a caller behind you that you can pull through.
Right.
And with elk, you've even got wind to worry about. And,
right. So the issue is you're trying to bring them in, and they're going to stop short because they know exactly where that call came from, and they're going to stop and try to see a bull with their eyes first. And the issue is they know they can pinpoint you so perfectly.
They know exactly. You can bugle from a half mile away, be in this really weird spot, and they will know where you are to like 10 yards. It's insane. They just, they live there. They hear elk all the time. That's their echolocation. They know everything.
A lot of wildlife's that way though. Like turkeys are the same, deer are the same. Like deer will come to rattling antlers to the base of your tree and know this noise came from right here. Where's this stuff at? Like, I just don't understand it. Like they've got something that we don't when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's they live it every day, I guess. Yeah. They just know that stuff. They're smart, and it's the same thing. You bugle, you call, and they're gonna get as close to you, as they can. And if they have line of sight to where they heard that call, they're not going any further. If they don't see anything, they're not coming in. So it helps me kind of in thicker stuff because they're kind of have to commit more to see what's going on.
Same thing with turkey hunting.
Yep.
Like I'll strategically set up and call where they think I'm calling just over this hill where they'd have to come to the hill I'm sitting on or whatever it may be. Like using terrain or vegetation or whatever to gain 10 more yards even.
Do you ever call behind you turkey hunting? Like
for sure. Like like if I'm mouth
trying to throw sounds back,
I will turn my head around and yelp backwards. I mean, thinking that might gain me 5 yards of tricking that bird. Or like one way is to like call like you think he's interested and you're going to sit down and get ready. You call and then move forward like 10 yards and sit down, like just to give yourself a little bit more. But I'm sure it's similar with elk hunting.
Same exact thing. Like you're touching on everything I was about to say. Like calling alone super hard because you're calling behind you, trying to trick them. Think they're a little, you're a little further than they think. And I'll call and then I'll move 20 yards forward just to try to get that little extra, ground on them. But it's really hard because, if you step on a branch or make some noise, that's your new 0 point. They're hearing it. They know exactly where that is. So that's your new, line.
Right.
And so it's really, really hard to do that. But got in there, did some calling setups, and he never did come in. I don't know if he just wasn't fired up enough. I don't know if I wasn't in his bubble, but I kind of pushed forward, did 2 calling setups, gave it 20 minutes, pushed forward, and man, it happens all the time. You kind of get to that point where you're like, I should probably stop, and they bust. And I had that same thing. You know, I got to the spot, I'm like, ooh, it's sick. This seems really good, and just you see an elk running. You're like, shit. So I see this elk run, kind of goes up on this hillside, and he's trying to circle me. He's trying to get above and smell me because I think he just heard me walking. You know, wasn't spooked really, just wanted to figure it out. And so I saw him kind of go up on this hillside, man, and super nice 6x6, all alone. You know, it's crazy. It's September 12th. They should be with cows by this time,
Right.
especially a bull like that.
Right.
It's all alone, man. I watched him kind of go up this hill 90 yards from me, and I'm like, he's trying to get my wind. So I try and beat him. I go back in the timber and kind of run up this bench to get above him so he doesn't get my thermals. And yeah, never did bust him. He never did smell me, but I did lose track of him. And but yeah, so had that encounter. That was great. I went up to the ridge he was on, gave it some time, gave it an hour, you know, took a nap, let things calm down.
I've got a question about him being alone.
Yeah.
Like, you would almost think that would interest him more. Like, he's got nothing going on, right? If he hears some bugling, maybe the elk have cows with you or whatever. Like, you'd think they'd want to come check that out and they'd be interested. At least that's how turkeys are, right? Like, if you catch a lone gobbler, it's like, heck yeah, like, it's on.
I agree. If you can find a lone bull midday like that, they're so killable. So that's, you know, and maybe I should have spent a little more time. Maybe he was coming in silent really slowly, and I bumped him. But yeah, I agree. It's usually that's what happens. If you have a lone bull and you're making bull noises and you're in his bedroom, he's gonna come in, you know. And yeah, it just didn't work out. I don't know what was going on. Like I said, maybe I bumped him going in.
Right. Never know.
But yeah, yeah. Worked up this hill. Couldn't find him again, but I was hearing some bugling to my west. And it's getting, you know, 4 p.m. now. So it's getting kind of later. And so I started working towards these bugles and end up hearing a hunter calling. Pretty obvious, you know, squealy bugle tube. Can't see him, but can tell he's a hunter. And this bull's responding to him, though. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to talk. This guy's, you know, he keeps sounding off to this guy. And I end up, like, running down this ridge a little ways. And I pull up my binos, and I end up seeing this herd crossing this ravine down below me. So they're kind of going up on this one little sub-ridge, and I'm on this next one to the left. And they're side hilling towards my ridge. And I'm like, oh, you know, there's moments in elk hunting where you don't really have time to think. You just kind of have to act on instinct. Right. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, I know what they're doing. They're side hilling. This guy's pushing them from the right. I need to cut them off. You know, I need to get down this ridge and get in front of this herd because I'm not calling them in. You know, they're running from this guy.
Right.
So that's what I do. I take off down this ridge and cut into some nasty, what Dom calls grade C, the deadfall, where it's just, you're crawling, you're on your hands and knees, you're doing gymnastics, you know, right, crawling over this stuff. And I'm getting so frustrated, man. I'm making so little ground, and these elk are just booking it. You know, they're almost to where I wanted to be. And so I'm slowed up. I'm almost like, screw this. Like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to give up. And kept going, and finally got out of it. And right when I got out of it, I got in kind of open timber. You know, you can see far in it, but it's still shaded and stuff. And I'm cruising. I'm listening to this bull, you know, just cruising. And sure enough, bump 2 bulls right in front of me.
Oh, man.
5x5 and a 6x6. And they saw me. You know, I was skylined. And if I would have just, like, slowed up a little bit right there, I probably would have had a shot. One was at 60 yards for a split second. You know, I almost threw my bow on him. I dialed my sight and stuff and almost had a shooting lane. But they knew something was up, and they kind of kicked out of there. But that's part of elk hunting. You're going to bump elk, you know. You need to be aggressive at points, and you're going to bump elk, and you just kind of have to be okay with that to get to, you know, the end goal. So I wasn't too bummed about that. I bumped him, but this
Right.
herd bull's still bugling down here. These two were satellite bulls. They're just kind of following the herd. They're not dominant. This herd bull's screaming. So I get down there further, and by this time he kind of shut up. But I knew there was actually like a sliver of dark timber that I thought they had gone into, and I'm getting to the top edge of it, and I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm like, feeling good about it, just having a good feeling, like,
Yep.
this feels like a path they would take. And I'm hearing this guy bugle to the right, and then I start hearing these other hunters bugling below these elk. I'm like, geez, man, we're literally surrounding this herd right now. And,
Question.
putting the pieces together in my mind, yep.
Do you have to wear orange during muzzleloader season as a bow hunter?
No, it's not legal, or it's not illegal to not wear orange, but I do wear an orange hat because some
people
people
are
can
crazy.
be idiots. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, you're surrounding
Yeah.
this herd, and likely these other two hunters are possibly muzzleloader hunters. So,
And that's what I'm thinking, man. I'm like, crap, I'm kind of downrange of these two other hunters right now. And so, I've got an orange hat, but that's not always going to help. And so I'm nervous about it when I'm listening to it. But, the thought of that herd bull's a little more strong than being nervous. So I'm pushing in there. But yeah, I get to this edge of this timber, and there's a bunch of range, a bunch of shooting range and stuff. I'm like, man, this feels
that's
pretty
what you
good.
call calculated risk.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, don't tell my wife that. But yeah, these guys are viewing below me, guys viewing to my right, and they're pretty far. I think I'm a little tighter. They're probably 400 or 500 yards, and I'm like pushing the boundaries here. Not seeing elk though, but they're bugling, and all of a sudden, I just hear raking, and I'm like, if I can hear that bull raking, he's sub 150 yards.
Right.
I'm like looking, and I can't see anything, and I just hear that like guttural, just like chuckle, and I'm like, oh, this herd bull's right here, like I'm on top of him, and he's like 70 yards, and I just can't see him.
And you've not called to him. He has no idea you're there.
No, silent, and on purpose, right? I know what he's gonna do. This is a pressured area. He's not coming into these guys that are sounding squealy and stuff, and I'm like, they're gonna push him right to me. And man, that's exactly what happened. He, swung his head. I saw antler tips kind of start coming through this brush, and didn't see any cows. It was just him, and he's coming out and walking straight towards me, man. I mean, like, I'm gonna have to shoot him frontal, and I'm not even calling. He's just walking to me, like I'm in the best path.
You just got in the right spot.
Right spot, right time. Just everything fell together. And dude, I looked at his antlers for a split second, and he's just like a dream bull, like big, heavy 6x6, sap hanging off his antlers, brush everywhere. He's big body, big neck, and he's just feeling himself, like he's swinging his head and coming straight towards me, man. And I range him. I think he was 52 when I first kind of had a good look at him. And he's coming, and he starts, broadside. He starts side hilling. Range him again, 46. And dude, I'm just like, I'm not even nervous, really. I'm just like,
I'm nervous listening to the story.
He's coming, he's side hilling, and it's too thick to shoot, so I'm just arrow nocked, rangefinder, and he's moving, and I see my clearing. I'm like, this is the spot that he needs to get to. Well, he stops, and he's looking around, and he bugles. And he's looking around, and then I start to get worked up. I'm like, all right.
So he bugled at 46 yards.
Yeah.
Which has got to like hurt your ears.
It's more of like you feel it. You feel it more than you hear it at that range. It's kind of like a reverberation. Just
right. I mean, like, cool. I feel like you could compare that to like a turkey gobbling at 20 yards. Like,
yeah,
so close you feel.
Sounds completely different, right? It's so cool when that happens. So yeah, he's bugling, chuckling. Starts coming, man, and I've got a lot of time to think about it, And but I'm mostly worried about getting a shooting lane. That's usually the issue in these spots with deadfall and stuff is a clearing. And so I'm thinking more about where am I going to shoot him and stop him, in a lane. And he's moving, and draw my bow, and he's coming across, and I let out a cow call, and I think he kind of turned back a little bit. He was quartering away a tiny bit, and he swung his head and looked at me. And I guessed him for 40 yards because my last range on him was 46. He came a little closer, so probably a good guess. But yeah, he swung back looking at me, man, and time just feels like it's standing still. And I come down on him, and I'm shaking like a leaf at this point. Obviously, my adrenaline's pumping, and I come down and get on his vitals and shot. And when my arrow's fine, man, I'm like, game over. This bull's dead. It felt good. It looked good, and it's coming in. And I don't know if his leg was back or what, but if you draw, that crease on the shoulder and, pick that spot mid-body, like 12 ring, right, where you're supposed to aim, it was an inch and a half high from that. So double lung all day, on any target would be a good shot. And all I can think is his leg was back. So when my arrow hit him, my fletchings kicked straight down, and I could tell I didn't get penetration. And he took off running. I got a good look at the arrow, and it was, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 inches in him. And he runs down the hill, and I cow call stop him. I'm trying to get another arrow in, and I think he stopped at like 80, and didn't have enough time. He kept moving, and he's not acting. An animal that's hit mortally wounded is
right
taken off. Like,
he went back to being a herd bull.
He went back to looking around, like, where are my cows? What's going on? And then wasn't bugling anymore. He's over that at this point. But
right.
Yeah, kind of just took his cows and went up this hill. And I got one last look at my my arrow, and my arrow was not in him. I didn't see an arrow, but I saw the wound, and it was right where I explained. Gosh dang it, like, just did not get penetration. And so at this point, I'm thinking maybe I got one lung, which wouldn't be ideal. They can live a long time on one lung.
Right.
But I need to find my arrow. So starting to get dark at this point, and there's rain moving in, which doesn't help anything. And as you know, I'm colorblind, so I can't see blood. So
yep,
not looking good. But luckily, you convinced me to get lighted nocks, so I had those at least on my arrow. And I'm like, if I need to come back and look for my arrow in the dark, I'll find it. Those things are like a spotlight. Man, I spent 4, maybe 5 hours looking for my arrow and could not find it.
Really?
Between where he was hit and where I last saw him without an arrow, I gridded this hillside, tracks, crisscross, all over the place, way lower, way higher than he ever was. Came back in the dark. I went in 4 a.m., in the dark, trying to find that lighted knock. Could not find my arrow. So I don't know if it got kicked under some dirt or under a log,
and it could have got kicked off too. I mean, you never know. Like, they can get turned off. Like, just hit something hard, they can bump off and not stay on.
Or have you ever had a knock pop out when you hit something hard?
Yep.
I was thinking maybe it kicked out and got lost.
That could happen too if you were in that shoulder or leg or something. It hit hard bone and popped back out.
But yeah, man.
That's crazy though. That is a heartbreaker.
I smoked him because I thought I did. But I've been within range of a herd bull like that. I can count on one hand how many times that's happened to me in my elk hunting, over 10 years of doing this. And man, it's a heartbreaker, but you just got to shake it off. I
For sure,
home, licked my wounds, and to boot, I tripped and bent my sight on my bow that morning. Super wet out, some snow on the ground.
No.
And, I know. And so I got back to my truck, shot an arrow at 20, and it was a foot high. So I'm like, oh no, we're in the middle of season. Luckily, have a backup sight, so I threw that on last night and got it all sighted in. But yeah, man, I've just been having a hell of a time lately. All sorts of stuff. Popped my sleeping pad one night. My boots are falling apart. Like, they're literally, the leather's coming unhinged. And man, it's been rough.
A lot of highs and a lot of lows. That's
a lot of lows, it feels like right now. But
I mean,
That's why we do it.
Getting that close to a big 6x6 herd bull, though, that sounds awesome. That's a high for sure of the season.
Yep. Telling Jackson, my brother, I was like, man, I wish you could have been there. It was so cool seeing this thing come. It was like a dream, seeing this thing come broadside right up to me.
I've never been elk hunting, but like I want to, and that's what you picture. Like that's the coolest videos you've ever seen is one just walking right in, bugling real close to you and stuff like that. I was going to ask, like, in a calling scenario, if you are calling one in, and I keep comparing this to turkey hunting because it's what I know, and I think it's similar. I've heard it compared to turkey hunting a lot, but turkey hunting, if you get one in range, he's probably dead because you're gonna have a shot. When you're shooting a shotgun, all you gotta do is see his little head. But archery elk hunting, just because you bring him in within 60 yards doesn't likely mean you're going to get a shot. Like it's probably still a fairly low percentage of having an opening, getting him to stop in the right spot, getting him to turn just right. Like it's still a hard thing to accomplish once he's in 50 yards.
It feels impossible to get close to an elk with a bow, and it feels even harder to get a perfect arrow in one. Like you nailed it. The angles of them coming in usually aren't ideal. It's usually quartering two, which is a giant shoulder
terrible.
Yeah. Them. Yeah, and you've got tight shooting lanes, so you're always, trying to find a spot, and you're completely right. Like it's super challenging. And I think one thing I learned is don't take, 40 yards. I can go shoot 40 yards right now and shoot lights out all day. Like it's a chip shot for us, But I took it for granted when he was coming in. I didn't take the time I should have to really focus and pick a spot. I saw vitals and shot because they're huge at 40 yards. A herd bull is huge.
Sure, yeah.
It's like hitting the side of a barn. So, but man, they get you. Your adrenaline gets going, and you kind of get tunnel vision sometimes. And yeah, if I could go back, I would just slow down. Even if it's 20 yards, take that extra time to really slow down, pick a spot, execute a perfect shot. You can't take it for granted. So,
the shoulder always scares me. I lost a deer in college. I hit in the shoulder blade, and it was a chip shot. It was 10, I don't know, 7 or 8 yards. I don't know what it was. It was under 10 yards, and I just smoked it in the shoulder and never found that deer. I mean, got 3 inches of penetration, and I've been scared of it ever since. Like I always hold off the shoulder just a little bit. You can be so close to being a good shot and err the wrong direction and mess it up, kind of like that.
I have the worst habit of hugging that shoulder. I'm scared of gut shots because I can't see blood, and I've lost animals before that way, and I hate thinking about them, suffering and never finding them.
Right.
So there is a silver lining, like at least it was a non-fatal wound. He's probably still pushing cows right now.
Oh, I'm sure. So, yeah. If a muzzleloader hunter didn't get him.
Yeah, with a broadhead in him. I've hit 3 bulls now with my bow in the shoulder. And
really?
You'd think I learned by now, not to hug so tight, but maybe this one will set it in my head. But yeah, man, that was Sunday. So that was
sounds pretty awesome. You got plans to go out more though the rest of the season here?
Yeah, I was just before we jumped on here packing up food for 10 days. I got 10 days left.
Man.
This is my longest kind of time off of work.
That's a ton. Is that going to be like prime rut? Are they going to be doing it by now, surely?
Yeah, the stars are aligning. It's going to be a no moon on the 8th or 22nd, I think. It's going to be a no moon. Temps are cooling off. It's the fall equinox, so that's like peak rut. So yes, they're going to be bugling, but they're also going to be probably really hard to call in because they're pressured now, smart. They don't need to challenge bulls. They've got cows, and so it's going to be harder. But yeah, the action is going to be sweet. I think. Pretty excited.
Good.
Yeah,
that'll be awesome. You'll have to keep me updated. Send me some pictures and some videos for sure. So.
Absolutely. Yep. And we'll hopefully have a cool story to follow up with.
Yeah. So after this season. Yeah. So moving forward from that, the next podcast after this one, you and I will be together to record. We'll be on our annual mule deer hunt, and I hope you've got a big bull elk story to tell me on that podcast.
That'd be sweet.
For sure. So we're planning like I said, we've gone on this hunt. This will be the 6th year, I believe, right? That we've done this.
Yeah, 6 years
Yeah,
now.
this is the
'Cause we
6th
started in
season.
college, right?
Yeah. Our first year was
Yeah, we
2020.
started in 2020. We came out west, and you ended up getting well, maybe not spoiling too much here. We might have a future episode, but yeah, that guy right there, spot-and-stalk. That was an awesome hunt.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we came out 2020, and yes, this would be year 6. Yeah.
yeah, year 6 and year 2023 was the only year I haven't killed a mule deer. So it's been pretty successful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's like my favorite time of the year and also my most stressful time. Like we're right now as we're recording this, I'm 2 weeks from loading up and heading out. And the camper's not ready and my archery stuff isn't quite ready. I need to shoot my bow some more. I don't even know. Like I'm not ready yet, but I will
Some
obviously get
last
there.
minute things.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Just
just
like a scramble every year.
yeah, it sneaks up on me. Like here, like it's been summertime, right? Like I've been
Yeah.
fishing and dove season opened September 1st. So I've been dove hunting, and it's like, oh hey, guess what? Bow season opens in Missouri already, and now you need to be getting ready for archery in Colorado. And I'm like, crap, I'm just not ready yet.
Well, and it's probably kind of weird coming west to 30, 40-degree nights
Oh,
and
for sure. Yeah, it
colder
was
weather.
91 degrees here today. I was miserable
Jeez,
dove hunting this evening, and then
man.
yeah, we'll be because we've camped before out there, and it gets like miserably cold at night.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it snowed on me 3 days ago. So
Yeah.
I was freezing cold. I was soaking wet, pissed off.
But
But
no,
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to our hunt this year. We've got 8 days planned of hunting plus travel for me. We're gonna be staying in my camper, which I just enjoy camping.
yeah,
We've got 2 archery mule deer tags or whitetail tags in our pockets. Max has pretty high standards. Mine are slightly less high, just because hey, this is a out of state hunt. I get a week to do it, so um, I don't know. I'm looking for that
yeah.
140 class and up type buck, and your sights are probably set a little higher. You'll have some more time to hunt, I'd say. But
Yeah, I like killing a mature buck. I don't
for
care
sure,
if they don't score huge. If they've got character and they're old, like that's
yeah,
what gets me fired
right.
up.
The mass
And
and some kickers here or
yeah,
there, and yeah,
yes, just a troll. That's kind of my dream buck every year.
right.
But yeah, man, I think they'll be around. I've got some cameras out. I haven't. We got that one pretty nice 4-point with deep back forks and a kicker,
Right.
but
He kind of looks like a
still
younger deer,
young.
like 3.5-year-old, probably. Just huge
Yeah,
potential. Be a 180 someday.
huge potential, man. Yeah, like man, I
I
hope he doesn't
wonder.
get shot in a rifle. But
I wonder. So you spent some time out there late archery season last year and seen a couple slammers. Like they're not 200-inch deer, but they're 170, like 4x4s and 3x4s, right? Like you were on a couple of
yep,
big bucks there during the rut last year. I hope they're around. Hope we find them, turn them up.
yeah, that was epic. I wish you could have been there last year when I saw this buck I call Deep Forks. And the reason I call him that is a farmer drove up on me when I was glassing him, and he goes, "Hey, I just I was cutting Milo down there and bumped this buck out of there. Super deep forks. Like you should go kill him." I'm like, "That's the plan." But I'm glassing him. I'm like deep forks. He's probably I don't know, mid 80s, maybe pushing 190, 4x4, just clean, typical,
Perfect.
super
Yeah.
tall. And then there was this other one I was calling Big Three. He's got 2 split brow tines and then just a 3x4 frame,
But
just kind
huge
of a
frame.
big, yeah, huge frame. And I ended up seeing the Deep Forks and this Big Three buck fight,
Yeah,
just
I
all
remember
out,
that.
man, trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
And hindsight, I should have tried to run up on them when they were fighting, but I was in awe. I was filming the whole thing, and they probably fought for 5 minutes, and then Big Three won and pushed Deep Forks off. And man, I never saw Deep Forks again the rest of the season. Big
Really?
Three had 30 does the rest of the season, and no other bucks would come close. So, yeah, but we've got some good deer,
That's
good potential.
so
Right
like that
now,
fight,
so.
like really determined something. Like really, like set the hierarchy almost. Like if he truly was just out of the area and moved on and gave up on that group of does, like that, like it really determined something. Sometimes bucks are fighting, and it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like it's that important or doesn't have a lot of meaning. But in that instance, like that kind of meant something. Literally push that deer out of the area.
I 100% think so, because mule deer are kind of a mix between a herd animal and kind of like a whitetail. Like they'll be solitary, but especially during the rut in winter, they'll herd up. I'll see groups of 40 mule deer in one little pocket and one like herd buck basically
Right.
running the whole thing. And you're right, Deep Forks was the only kind of mature buck in there with all those does for the 2 or 3 days I watched him. And then that Big Three showed up. They fought. I saw Deep Forks get run off. Never saw him again, man. It was like, yep, I lost. I'm out of here. I'm finding a new group. So yeah, I think
Score
that's
wise,
totally.
that just from watching the video, and it wasn't super great video, obviously, because you're so far away. But score wise, that deep fork buck probably score higher than the 3x4, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yep.
there must be a difference in maturity there for the 3x4 to
Man,
win.
I've looked at the video over and over trying to like compare body size on those two bucks, and I think Big Three is a little bit bigger, but they seem the same age to me.
Right.
They're not. I would say 5.5 max on these two bucks, but yeah, I think they're matched really good in terms of maturity. I think they're
Right.
kind of the same age. Yeah,
Would be
Big Three was just more
super
scrappy.
right. It'd be super cool to turn one of those bucks up here in a couple of weeks, just to
So
have the
cool.
history and be like, hey, that's the deer I saw last year. Because we really
Yep.
haven't done that. This will be our 6th year, and I don't know that we've ever like said, hey, that's the deer from last year. I don't know that we've had that history like that.
I can't think of I can't think of a single deer out there that we've seen 2 years in a row.
Right. But and some
I,
of that you can blame because they do move so much. They almost literally migrate.
mm,
Like just like that, he
yeah,
run the deep forks out of the area, and you don't see him anymore. Like out of the area
yep.
means 5 miles away, probably.
5 plus, man.
Right. Yeah.
I think they literally migrate like caribou migrate. I think it's these huge, just based on feed. I think in the winter months they move, and maybe that spring they find some new habitat they like, and that's where they end up. And
Right.
that's what's cool about this area we hunt. It seems like it's a washing machine. Every year something else rolls in.
Yeah.
And
And
it's just a
yeah,
mix
like
up.
there's always a upper age class deer around somewhere.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
and
A lot of
and
young
some
bucks.
yeah, and we've had deer leave the area we can hunt and never see them again. But at the same time, you have deer move in that you've never seen before. Like you
Yep.
have the same opportunity on that side. Like a buck could come in overnight while we're hanging out at camp, and that's what we could be hunting the next 3 days. Like um, it's always
Keeps it fun.
changing. Oh yeah, like it keeps us looking in the same spots. Like yeah, we looked this field over
Seriously.
yesterday, but something could change from yesterday to today. Um,
Yep.
and like you said, they've got
100%.
a bunch of rain this year, so you said the vegetation's all taller, which is going to be different for us. I mean, it's usually dry, everything's dead, crops are short. It may be challenging, it may be great. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't. It's mixed feelings because they can hide better when the vegetation's grown up, and there's giant weed rows, and the corn's 8 feet tall, but it's also just better habitat. So it seems like some years we struggle when it's really bad drought because there's just nothing for them there. So they're in more like river bottom country or
Right.
greener areas, bigger ranches or something. So it's kind of a split take there, but
My
I don't know.
prediction
I
is
I feel good about it.
my prediction is there will be more deer than normal we'll have a harder time seeing them than normal.
Yes. Yep.
Like,
agreed.
There's going to be deer there that we don't know about this whole trip, and I don't think that usually is true. I think the ground we can hunt, we know of pretty much every buck that's around. It seems like.
Yep.
I'm pretty confident in
Yep.
that for the week that we're there. And this year, I feel like we're not going to have that.
Right.
But I think there's going to be more deer. I don't know.
It's a challenge every year, but it's a puzzle, and that's why I love doing it. It changes every year.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
We've
fortunate,
we've had some great hunts in the past. I can see 2 hanging behind me, and there's one obvious one hanging behind Max there that we've all got to take on these hunts. So we'll talk about those in the future episodes probably. But
sneak peek, we'll have to talk about that guy.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, I'm super excited. I need to get in gear and get some stuff ready. By the time this episode drops, we will be there. We will have just got there. So I think this episode will come out on October 2nd, I'm pretty sure. And we'll have just got there and got started hunting. So I'm excited about it, man. I got some work to do.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. And yeah, again, thanks for having me on.
Yep. Thanks for
excited you're doing this. I hope it takes off and you keep going with it.
For sure. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you being on. Appreciate hearing that elk story. Like, you've been kind of holding out on me. You told me you had something cool to tell me. I'm like, man, I want to know, but you're right.
I almost called you when I shot him. I didn't have service, but when I got service later that day, I almost called you, and I'm like, no, I'm going to save this. Right. I want it to be on the podcast. But
ever since you, I kind of expect that now, because I think 2 years ago, you called me, said, dude, I just shot one. I'm going to send you a picture. Tell me if this is blood. She couldn't tell. It was this big pile of red blood. I'm like, yes, this is blood.
Man, it's bad. Color blindness, folks, it's not good. It's a struggle.
Oh, well. Yeah. I've tracked a lot of your animals, seems like,
over the years. Yes, you have. Yep.
All right, man.
Cool, man.
I appreciate you having on. Just a reminder to everybody, check out this podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, got it all. So look for our content on there. Like I said, as you're listening to this, we were going to be in Colorado hunting mule deer. So we're going to record some outdoor drops, some short little after the hunt episodes, maybe every night, maybe every other night. I don't know, just short little videos I can upload real quick and kind of keep y'all posted on what we're doing, what we're seeing, and just document that experience. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Max. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yep. See ya.
See you guys.